Hard packed clay soil. Bane of my existence here in South Carolina. This lot was built in the 60s. The backfill is hard packed clay. The yard has not been taken care of in many, many moons. So we are down to some of this hard packed clay substrate. Now, clay soil is a blessing and a curse at the end of the day. It's a blessing because it will hold water, which you need water for plants. And it's a curse because not only is it hard to get anything in it, it is an anaerobic environment. Clay is such a fine material that it clumps. When it's dry, it becomes like rock. When it's wet, it becomes this sort of gross, gelatinous, slippery substance. And nothing can really get into it. And we've been fighting that since we've been here. I've had some really good seasons, but this season has been absolutely terrible because of the soil. So today, I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do to fix that problem. There's quite a few things you could do to fix clay soil problems. There's certainly a slow way, a nice way, an organic way. And then there's a way we're gonna do it because we don't have a lot of time. Now, what I would like to do and what I'm going to do after the season is over is run a tiller through all of this. Now, before I get attacked on the internet for, oh my God, fossil fuels and you're gonna destroy the environment, keep in mind that we have hard packed clay soil baseline here. There is barely gonna be any life in compact, hard packed clay soil. It just cannot survive. It just can't do it. So you're not really ruining anything. So I am going to do a one-till method, but for now, we don't have that kind of time. I don't have a tiller, don't have time to rent one. So we are going to be doing this by hand, and what we're gonna be doing is adding material. Now, the funniest thing about this, now this bed, this row has been sitting barren, actually, for several months at this point. There should be a lot more weed growth here, as weeds come in and they want to fill the gap because nature abhors a vacuum. So it wants to fill everything. You see here, a whole bunch of volunteers from previous seasons have come up along with my tomatoes. This right here is healthy. Now, one issue I'm having with that is I planted everything on a slope. Now, I am going to change this up to where maybe my rows are going to go this way, and that should actually help with my drainage. But it goes to show you everything is washing off the top. So everything in this row and that row is dying out. And we're trying to fix that problem. Now, I've expanded my rows to try to alleviate that, but it isn't enough. So I'm gonna be adding materials in order to try to solve that problem, at least for this season. It is gonna be a temporary fix right this moment, but eventually all of my wood mulch is going to break down and it's going to feed this soil. If you want to do this and if you had time, you could put wood mulch all over the place, but that's going to take a couple years. I don't have a couple years. I want plants and vegetables right now. So first thing I'm going to do is dig this crap out, put it over here, then I'm going to put new stuff in, and I'm going to put new stuff in, and it's going to be awesome. Now here's the problem right here. Hard packed red clay. Now I had to mix all this by hand because the tool I was using actually ended up breaking this season, and I got a new one after that, but I was trying to rush the plant and I did this by hand, which means it didn't get mixed very well. So I have all of this. You see, this is actually pretty dry and it becomes like rock and it becomes brittle and it just crumbles. I'm trying to essentially bond these granules to stuff like this. This is at the surface. This is good stuff, but it doesn't run deep enough, and that's my problem. And it's killing my plants because as they root down, they're not able to spread, they're not able to pull any nutrients because there's just nothing down there. Now, your friend when it comes to clay soil, first and foremost, is gonna be organic material. That's really any garden, any type of soil, sand, clay, whatever your loam, doesn't matter, organic material is gonna be your friend because you need to feed the plants that you're gonna plant. That's gonna bring in more soil life, it's going to bring in more microbes, it's going to build a microbiome that your plants are going to be feeding on and using to feed on. It's very, very important. But how do you break up the clay soil? So there's two things you can do. I'm going to go ahead and use both of them because I need them. I need my soil to work for me. I need it to work for me quick. quickly. So first thing, I'm gonna add in some sand. Now, some people like to use it, some people don't. This is very, very, very bad soil. Very, very hard packed clay soil. So I'm going to use sand. Those fine grains are gonna bind with the even finer grains, and it's gonna help me break it up. The other thing I'm gonna add is sitting right over there, which is peat moss. Peat moss, keep in mind, holds water, and it is very hydrophobic. So you don't need a ton, you just need enough of that material to help you break up your soil grains, your clay soil grains, to loosen it up, to allow it to become stuff like this, stuff you want. And then I'm gonna add in organic material. Now this is store-bought organic material, which means it's gonna have a bunch of wood chips and crap in it. Anyway, that's just the way it is. So I'm not gonna bother sifting it clean or do anything like that like I normally would want to do in like a garden bed or a normal garden scenario. Because again, all of that material, besides the fact that it'll break down eventually and feed my soil, is gonna help me break up this clay soil. I'm gonna dump it in this row. I'm gonna use a really cool tool I'll talk to you in a minute about to mix it, because mixing it by hand, it's for the birds. Now, I'm using just not paver sand, just standard everyday use type of sand. Not too expensive at your hardware store. You could pretty much find it in any hardware store. People don't really like to use this because it's a forever thing. It's always gonna be here. It's basically ground up rock and sediment. But you know what? You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Gardening is not a one-size-fit-all type of thing. It's based on your situation and what works for you and your goals. So you gotta kind of make your decisions. Honestly, it's like life, really. You can listen to a ton of people on the internet, but so many things in life, like gardening, it's not black and white. It really isn't. Most of it's gray, and you really just gotta make the best decision for yourself at the end of the day and not care so much what people are gonna talk about you on the internet. So this stuff is really cool. Again, not very expensive. It's peat moss. Again, a little bit controversial because it comes from peat bogs. Not the greatest thing for the environment. If you don't want to use peat moss, you don't have to. You can use a little bit of cocoa coir. It'll run you about the same price, if not even a little bit cheaper, depending on what you get. Now, I'm not going to load this up because, again, it will hold water, and I already have a holding water problem. I don't want to make that worse. But I just need something to break up the soils. You could also plant a variety of plants that'll break up those soils for you. You can plant potatoes. Awesome crop, by the way, super easy to grow. You can plant things like daikon radishes that drill holes deep into the soil and then fill that. But again, it's based on your scenario, your situation. Do you have time to do all that? Do you want to wait multiple seasons for your soil to be ready? I can. I don't want to, because we haven't had a lot of luck in this garden this year. Weather has been terrible. I want to get things in what little time I have left to grow things. So far, we're finally getting peppers. We're finally getting some healthy tomato flowers. But so far, we've pretty much only had a healthy potato crop, and we've been able to get cucumbers. And I want squashes. I picked up a new variety, patty pans, and I'm really excited to see how those are. And I want to taste them. And that's part of having a vegetable garden, is to feed your family. If you're not ready for this, of course, don't worry about it. Use grow bags, use raised beds. More to come on that. We might be working with somebody in the very near future that'll help us with that. If you want to know how to use garden beds to your advantage, a lot more content coming your way. I always like the smell of good, healthy dirt. Sweet smell. There's a sweetness to it. That's the other issue we're having, is my soil has a very poor odor, almost sour, which means it's very anaerobic, and very, very bad bacteria grow in those anaerobic environments. which makes your plant sick and translates to a bad season. I'm using simple garden compost material, mushroom compost material, and I like black cow manure. If you can get stuff not store-bought, better. I can't right now, but that's better. As you can see here, I've put all of the original material over top. Now, in itself, you could leave it, probably be okay, but it's really not enough. Given enough time, it'll all melt together. But as you can see, you have all this stuff here. Now, the cool thing is the perlite we've been adding is really starting to do the trick. It's just not quite enough. The bed just needs help because it's got all this stuff in it. Now, I could mix it by hand. You could mix it by hand. That's gonna be exhausting. I'm not into that right now. I don't have time for that. So I picked up one of these. All this is a simple auger bit. You can get this at most hardware stores. You can use this essentially to plant bulbs and plants and drill a hole. Works great for that. But I also use it for stuff like this, mixing my soils if I'm gonna be making any of my own planting soils. Situations like this, it is gold. Not very expensive, probably like $8. Just be very careful that you don't try to churn up straight like hard packed clay. I did that and I ended up breaking one and I had to get another one. But loose stuff like this, it's awesome. Power tools, baby. Oh, it just makes life so much better. Now, this is not going to be, like I said, a permanent main solution. It just does the trick right now. But look how good that does, mixing all of that material all the way through my soil. So it gives me a chance to put in a good crop. I'm going to have to water this all in, let it sit. I might actually get lucky and not even have to do that because rain's coming. But over time, your hard packed clay soils are going to become beautiful, beautiful, rich garden soils. And like I said, this whole thing is going to be revamped. I'm going to run a tiller through this whole thing and do this very thing across the entire garden to really not have to worry about doing this. You do that for a few seasons and you'll probably never have to do it again. Just top dress with any of the materials that you want. Better compost, manure materials, fertilizing materials, anything like that, just top dress and move on. Letting all the root systems like this from previous plantings break down into the soil, thereby replenishing all those nutrients that are brought up from said plants. And then you can do a fully organic system like most of you, I'm sure, are looking to do these days. Something simple, something easy, but as with most things, it only looks easy and it's easy after years. Starting out is always going to be tough. It's always going to take a lot of research, a lot of time, and a lot of patience. And that's what makes it worth it. If you really want to be good at this, get in and get dirty, make a lot of freaking mistakes. At the end of the day, it's so worth it because being able to grow healthy, beautiful plants to give you lots of peace, mental peace, soothes your soul, but it gives you food. And that now more than ever is extremely, extremely important. The chance to feed your family on a very, very tight, minuscule budget. You don't have to go to the store and get GMO products, stuff with microplastics in it, all kinds of crazy things everyone's scared about these days. You can just plant your own stuff. It just takes a little bit of hard work, a little bit of sweat equity, and I'm telling you, it's beyond worth it. Anyway, guys, I got to get back to work. A lot more to do in the garden, a lot more I've got to do this season. If you like what you see, comment below, let me know. Hit that thumbs up button, guys. It helps us out a lot. Appreciate your support. Until next time, as always, stay strong, stay blessed, stay freaking savage. Peace and love.
God bless.
God bless. Okay. All right. Ooh. Got a cucumber. Nice. Probably the last one of the season.
Is that a cucumber?
Cucumber. That right there. Stuff like this makes it all freaking worth it.
It does.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Let's get more.
Here we go.
I mean, it's a globby mess, but...
Homegrown cucumber. Yeah, that looks much better.
Look at that versus this.
Yeah.